Hi everybody, this is your daily message from Flora. Today I pulled the Two of Flames of the Daughter of the Moon Tarot. This card is not about twin flames or that kind of things, but it's Two of Flames like Two of Fire. A fire element is it's wands or sticks. And here you see the Maori goddess of fire. And this Maori goddess's fire is called Mawika. I don't know if you pronounce it well, but I think it is. And as I read about her, I'm not sure. The New Zealand people know more about this. I don't know much about it, but I think it the messages. I tell you a little bit about the story. Um, Mawika was the goddess of fire, and she lived in a cave near a big volcano, and she was the master fire. And everybody in the world are conserving the the fire, trying to keep it on. And you know, and people, and then her grandson, the grandson of the goddess, didn't know about her, and he was very curious where the fire was coming from. So he thought, if I turn out all the fire in the whole world, then I might see where the original thing, fire, comes from. And he did secretly, because nobody knew. He turned off all the fire in the world. And then the panic starts. The people couldn't cook, they didn't have warmth and everything. So on that moment, somebody talked to him and told him, yeah, if you want to get the fire, then you have to talk to your grandmother. Grandmother uh, Mauka, the goddess, and ask her for fire. So he went, nobody dares, no human dares in that hot, steamy lava volcano cave. Nobody dared to go there. So he went there and, of course, introduced himself. I'm your grandson, and we have a problem because we don't have any fire. And could you give us fire? Could you give the people fire back? And yeah, she was okay, and she said, okay, here you are. And she had 10 fingernails where the fire's coming out of. So she took one of her fingernails, one of the 10, because she also has feet, and give one of these nails um to the grandson, and the grandson left for the village. But on the road he was thinking, okay, when she doesn't have any fire, where does she get her fire? So he was so curious, and he didn't think of other people, and he only think of his curiosity, because he wants to know everything. And then he put the fire out in the water in the river, and he went back, and he told his grandmother, oh, I was in the river, and there was a splash, and the water and this fire goes out, and could you give me another flame? I have to. And of course she did. And that happened several times till um, she realized that she was tricked. And then she was so angry, and she made earthquake, and she made fire, and she was very angry. So angry that she almost used every fire she got. And it almost hurt his grandson. And on the last thing, she was so angry, and she saw the grandson, and she took her last toenail and cut it out and throw it at the grandson, and the grandson saw it coming, and he bent, and it flew over him, and it hit the trees, and it merged in the trees, and the trees got fires. And there's a certain kind of type of trees that merged with the energy. And at that moment, the goddess of fire didn't have the fire anymore, but the power went into those certain three trees. And the gift that it's created is that the fire went into the wood. And there are certain woods you can use to, um, touch each other very firmly when there's dry, and then you create fire with wood on wood. So the fire went into the wood, and so they can create now wood without asking any goddess, and they don't have to keep the fire burning all the time, because they could now the people can create fire when they want. So his curiosity in first it's so very selfish and accidentally turned out to be a gift. And that's the message sometimes. Sometimes you make stupid decisions or you think very selfish and your curiosity wins from logic and you never know what's coming out from. You might be surprised um, what could happen in a way. So maybe in today's message, let's all sometimes you do the not logic things and you look selfish, but your curiosity wins. And while doing this, you could create amazing things. So sometimes you have to just go with it, and don't think. Even though everybody thinks it's selfish, but those people, otherwise were those people for always like a slave from the fire, and they have to be very grateful to this goddess, and they are also depending on the goddess, but now they are not depending on the goddess anymore. And the other message is also that in the to that there is fire in the wood. It's all along in itself. So if you don't know your passion, your fire, um, maybe do the unlogic things, and you might create fire with your own wood. Maybe that's a message. Um. Anyway, I wish you a wonderful day. Big hug.